It's time for Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. From corporate executive to CEO to entrepreneur and the founder of Damn Good Marketing Live. This podcast is all about digital marketing, building a business you love, and creating a brand that's authentic to who you are. So if you're ready for honest, raw marketing conversations that you will not find anywhere else, let's freaking get it. All right, guys, welcome back to Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I have one of my friends that I actually met in Scottsdale, Arizona at Girlfriends in Business. Then she came to DGML and she's just making freaking waves. I'm super excited to have this conversation about digital products, getting in the room, events, masterminds. Like, y'all, this conversation is going to be filled with so much stuff and we're probably going to jump to everything. So make sure you have a pen and paper or just remember all of it and soak it in. So Taylor, thank you so much for freaking being here. I'm so excited to dive in today.
I'm so excited. And I don't know if you did this on purpose or not. I don't know if it's because I live in Florida, but you were making waves and soak it all in. It felt very beachy, the intro.
No, that just came to me, girl. I'm just kidding. I had that planned. I'm just kidding. I did. Okay, so I want, before we start in this, because I feel like it's gonna be so valuable, this conversation, I want you to give us a quick little intro of who you are, what do you do, all the things.
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Taylor. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Shelby.
Yes,
I
girl.
am a former teacher and former academic. I thought I was going to teach. I became a college professor at age 23, straight out of grad school. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is my whole life plan. And I have no plan B. And it did not take me very long to realize that sucked. I was underpaid and undervalued. And
Yeah.
I started getting physically sick every Sunday night, knowing I had to go to work on Monday morning. And it was really horrible. And so then I was like, you know what? Why don't I switch to corporate education? That's got to be so much better.
Yeah.
So I went into corporate and I started working in instructional design, and I worked with several different companies in creating online curriculum, online courses, delivering educational service online. And I worked with clients all over the world. And actually, it was really great. I kind of really liked it. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. This wasn't never the plan. I don't know what the plan is anymore. And then the
Yeah.
pandemic happened and I was like, oh, people all around me are getting laid off. What am I going to do? So I started a whole bunch of side hustles at one time because I was like, that's got to be the solution.
I mean, it got you here, so go ahead.
It got me here. So it was the solution. Two of those businesses blew up and went viral in the first couple of months of the pandemic. And I 3 times my teaching salary. And then I was like, oh, I guess I have to quit my corporate job now. So I did that. And then I started really diving into what does it mean to build a business online? One of those businesses, I feel like this story is getting long. One of those businesses was a physical product brand. So my
Okay.
sister's an artist and a designer. She had been playing around with making vinyl stickers and decals that are nature inspired and quotes and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, why don't I take what I know about everything online and SEO and let me play around with this and launch it as a business. And so we launched this physical product shop on Etsy. It blew up. We're in the top 1% of Etsy shops worldwide, 1% out of 8 million.
Amazing.
And so we had the successful physical product brand, which is great. I didn't love it, but I was like, cool, it's making me money. That's great.
Yeah.
But the teacher in me just wouldn't stop. And so then I was like, well, let me make some of my own digital courses. I have this background. Let me make courses teaching other people how to do what we did. That was my first set of courses, was training other Etsy sellers. And we did that brand for a couple of years. The courses were really successful. And I really found that was my sweet spot, was teaching other people how to build and grow businesses. And since then, I've moved on to teaching how to make courses, very specifically
Yeah.
courses, memberships, and communities. So that was a lot. That's how we got here. And that's what I focus on now.
That's so cool though. I love how you knew you were unhappy, but you knew you couldn't just leave. You knew you had to start a side hustle in order to kind of pivot, when in reality you're like, wait, what is it actually going to get me to? But then now look at you. I mean, you have a thriving business, you're planning events left and right. You had a sold out event last year, right?
Yeah. A couple of years into entrepreneurship, I really started dreaming. I was like, oh, I could do these other things. And this could be more than just how do I make money, but how do I get satisfaction out of my life and make a professional career out of what I thought was just a side hustle, right? It's
Yeah.
just going to pay my bills. And so this year we had a sold out conference in Pensacola, which one of the things I loved about coming to DGML was I looked up the population of Covington and it was like so tiny, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you're close to New Orleans, which obviously is a major metro, but I was like, if she can do it there, I can definitely do this in Pensacola, which has like
Heck
500,000
yes.
people, which to me felt too small to host a conference of 75 women. I didn't even know if there were 75 women entrepreneurs in Pensacola who would come.
The thing with that is this, I'm going to interrupt you right there because there is more small town mentality than we actually think and we give credit to. And if they see one girl do it or one woman do it, then they're like, hell yeah, I want to jump on her bandwagon. So like, first off, pause, give yourself like so much kudos for saying, you know what, I'm going to do this here. And I don't know if we have 75 women, but like you sold it out and like you had a great freaking event. And I bet it lit a fire into your tush to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was in the beginning, I was like, if 20 people come, that's fine.
Yes.
Like, I'll feel like I hit my numbers. We can cover expenses with if 20 people came. And I was like playing so small in terms of like ticket prices and like how much I thought everything was going to cost. And we ended up, initially, we didn't pitch any sponsors. People started coming to us saying, hey, can you sponsor the event? So we ended up with all these sponsors, over 20 all women owned businesses locally who sponsored our event. And we had 75 women come. And it really came out of like the past 2 years. I was trying to find my people here in Pensacola, which was really hard. And I made this promise. I was like always crying in the car to my husband. And I was like, I have no friends here and nobody gets it. And it really sucks here. And then I was like, but I have to do something. Like, I can't quit. I'm very stubborn like that. So I was like, let me go to every event in Pensacola. Surely it's just a numbers play. If I go to every single networking event I can possibly find for business owners or for women, I will find friends. I went for 2 years. It really didn't happen. I didn't find my people. Like I met nice people and they were amazing, but it wasn't like
Your
the
people.
group that made me feel like my soul's on fire. So then I was like, oh, what if I create it? And that's kind of how the conference happened. And what I never anticipated was that women would come up to me and they're like, thank you for going first. And I just got so like, I got chills. I even get chills now thinking about
I
it. They're
just
like,
got
thank you for
chills for
being
you.
the first one to do this here because we don't have anything like this. So now we're going to have to do it again next year.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to do it again. Wait, okay, so like it brings me back to like when Jamie currently Mudd speaks. Like I have listened to her speak twice, and like she's freaking amazing and a rock star and just lovely. But she always says like it's you're not doing it wrong. You're just first. If you and then like Lori Harder and Chris Harder had said like don't try to get in the rooms or on stages with the people that are already on the stage. Create your own. Like so create things that aren't there for you and in your business and in your community. Like same thing why we created DGML is because they didn't have a marketing event or I've gone to an event and I'm like, this doesn't literally light my soul on fire. Like I need music, I need hype, I need people that like are big dreamers that kind of think that like, okay, my dreams and goals are kind of borderline crazy, but like they could come true. And then getting in a room of people that actually believe the same thing that you do, I think is so cool. So kudos to you for doing that. And the fact that like sponsors hit you up after, like I love this whole story because truly like at an event, like my first thing was like, okay, how am I going to pay for this? Obviously, I need this many tickets to cover the cost. And then I was like, oh, I could get sponsors for this. They would love the recognition. I mean, I know marketing. And so I just like think that it's so genius that especially all women owned businesses came and was like, hey, Taylor, can I be a sponsor? Like, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it was so cool. I was like, what? You want to sponsor? And it was like the universe. Every time we put something on the planning to-do list of like, we need event design or we need this, a sponsor would literally fall into our DMs on Instagram. Someone
I
was like, hey,
love
do you need flowers? Like, hey, do you need this? And it was so cool. And then so many of those sponsors actually, as a result, I now have such an amazing relationship with them. Like they're all my friends. They're like, hey, when's the next one? Like count us in already. Like whatever it is, we don't even care. Just tell us what you need and what day. And it's
Yeah.
so cool.
So do you have okay, so when is the next one? Are we about to drop it on the podcast?
What?
Do we
I
even
don't know. It's going to be November, December 2025. So here's where we're at. And I'm going to put this out in the world. We're trying to decide on the venue. So I don't want to finalize the date till we decide on the venue. And maybe you have some perspective on this, Shelby. Maybe we're live masterminding this right now.
Yeah.
I'm flip-flopping back and forth between do I do it in Pensacola or do I move it to 30A? Because they're so close, right? So you have a difference
Oh.
between like like Covington versus New Orleans, it's about the same distance. So like, do I move it to 30A?
How
So
far? So it's like 45 minutes?
yeah, about an hour.
I think, where's your airport?
Well, that's just it. We have airports, Pensacola, Odessa, and Panama City. We have 3 airports that would basically all be within an hour and 20 minutes. And so my thought is like, well, there's nothing on 30A. No conferences like this exist. And if I move it, then we
And that
reach an
makes it
even bigger
luxury.
audience.
Honestly, it makes it okay, so,
Yeah.
like, this is where the vibe I'm going, and I'm not saying anything about
Yep.
Pensacola at all, is, okay, number 1, have you outgrown the spaces that they do offer in Pensacola? 2, are you trying to expand more than 75 people? If so, then yes, you probably do need to move to a bigger city. Number 3, what is the vibe, the luxurious thing? Like, what are you going for? If Pensacola is not necessarily hitting that mark, then you need to move to 38. And then a huge one, like really big, is if you are going against small town mentality, then you need to pull those people out of the small town and get them somewhere else. And so I think 30. Ooh.
I know. Oh, okay. We just decided this live on the podcast. We just decided this because that's it, right? I want to pull those people out of
Oh,
Pensacola who are like, I'm here for it, Taylor. Let's go bigger. Let's go luxury. And put them into a place where they can see it, right? So the whole conference, part of it, this was never a brand slogan, but like a huge part of that mission is like proof of what's possible. Show people what is possible.
yes.
Like other women are your hard evidence of what you can do in your life. And so I think moving it to 30A is like the next part of that.
And honestly, it's going to be scary. And it's also, but it's going to be, and I don't know, because there's so many things that we're talking about on our side of things as well. But like, if it's scary to you, it's just because it's uncomfortable and unknown. So like you did it in Pensacola and you sold it out. And like you had everything like kind of fell into your lap. Where if you do move it, like the what ifs come about and you're like, oh, well, what if this, what if this, what if this? But in all reality, like if you build it, they will come. And you have such a powerful brand that like it doesn't matter if you move it to freaking Scottsdale, like they're gonna come. You know what I mean? So like I think, oh, this is so big. My next question, see, I get so excited. My next question to you is, why so late? Like, why you don't move it up? Like 30A is beautiful. And like, oh, like think about it during like the springtime or like the summer or like early fall. Like what is like tell me why November, December.
Okay, well, this is the Floridian in me. My fear is a hurricane.
Oh,
So,
100%. You just can't do it from same thing with MBI. It's same thing with
Louisiana, yeah.
Now. We're moving to November again this year, and because I want to get out of that. But then like
Yeah.
literally this year, the week, so I was like the original DGML was November 6th, 7th, I don't know, which that was election year this year. And I was like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And so that's why we moved it up to October. And then this year I was like, okay, well, I want to do next year, early November again. But then like when I decided this year we were threatened with a hurricane in like the beginning of November, I'm like, oh my God, we're not safe. So I get it. I get it. But I think it's just so pretty. Don't make me like force you or twist your
I'm
arm.
going to
Like,
change all of it just for you, Shelby.
you're
No,
like,
I mean,
okay, it's in March, everybody. It's in March. I'm kidding.
April and May is on the table because there's no hurricanes that hit in April, May. I just know like my fear with that is like a lot of people don't do events in April, May because they're like, oh, it's graduation, it's Mother's Day, like there's already too much going
Okay,
on.
that's May, not April.
Right. Yeah.
The
So
only
we'll
thing you
see.
really have to worry about in April is Easter, right? Because
Yeah.
February, March is Mardi Gras, and then it's Easter, and then it's graduation. But that's like what, end of May? You know what? I'm here for you to
Yeah.
talk about this. But also, this is how your brain works when you're like planning things with someone else that like can even give like some kind of like advice or just like bounce ideas off of. You know what I mean? So like that right there, even if you don't move it to 30A, that was a good conversation that you were like 30A and I was like, "Ooh, 30A." And you're like, "Okay, 30A." And so like if you get with people that see your vision, because like I love events. I thrive the most when I have people around me that think and dream as big as me. And as well as like people that I inspire. So like even if people say like just like the person that walked up to Taylor and said like thank you for doing this first, is this is the thing I preach all the time, is this like there is somebody that's waiting on you specifically. So if you're listening to this and there's something like weighing on your heart that you need to do, I can't do it and Taylor can't do it. That person is waiting for you specifically to inspire them and motivate them to do whatever it is that you're going to chase. And so I think that like a lot of people say, well, who am I to do XYZ? Well, that thought has come across my brain, but I did it anyway. And I'm sure, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for you, Taylor, but at some point, maybe it's come across your brain as well. But then look at the people that you've inspired and that you sold out this room and that you've just like, okay, well, this year I'm doing da 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 da. Like, it's just so freaking cool. So cool.
Yeah, I love that. That's just the thing, right? Like, I think that we often go in, like early entrepreneur stage, like you go in, you're like, oh, I'm afraid to make asks, or I'm afraid to do things because I'm afraid of competition, right? Like she's already doing stuff. So I don't want her to think that I'm copying her, even though I have the exact same desire, but it's not the same, right? And it's
Yeah.
only you can be that person who
Yeah.
does that thing. And just like, so I have this mastermind coming up in January, and I invited someone. I sent her a personal DM. I'm like, hey, I think you should be in this room. I think this would be perfect for you. And she was like, thanks for inviting me, but I need to tell you I'm planning on doing this similar event. So like, I don't want to come if that makes you uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't own masterminds. Like, I don't own that idea. Please come and please do your thing. Like, I can't do it the way that you do it. You can't do it the way that I do it. And there's always going to be more than enough people to go around. So like, there's absolutely no fear in that for me.
I think that like what people look at when they see things like that is like competition, when in reality, like there is no competition. I think that I truly believe the only competition that you have in your life is you, because only you can make yourself better. There's no duplicate of you. And so like I just like what Taylor just said, if you're listening to this, she's made uniquely in her way and she has an event, and I'm made uniquely in my way and I have an event, and we're going to be running at the same basically time, but we have enough of differences where like I'm going to support the hell out of Taylor and Taylor supports the hell out of me. So like if you are listening to this and you're so scared to go chase your dreams because the market is saturated or whatever you want to do, or you want to do something similar, like what I tell people is this: get in the room and learn. Because even if Taylor is one step ahead of you and you've never planned like a mastermind event that she's doing, which I think is freaking genius, then go get in that room and learn, but be genuinely about it. Like genuinely want to learn and don't be malicious and don't do anything negative. Like literally say like, how's she doing this? Do I actually like this? The only reason I was able to put on an event like the way that I do is I've been to multiple events and I'm like, I like this about this one, but I don't like this. I don't want this. I do want this. But like, it's what lights my soul on fire versus like what lights Taylor's soul on fire. Like she could want to do something. I'm like, I don't really like that, but like, it's not my event. It's just like the same thing with the mastermind. The girl, so is she coming?
I don't know. It's a maybe, but like she's like,
Girl, if you're
if it's
listening to
not
this
this one, it's the
podcast,
next one.
hey girl, I don't know your name, but if you're in my world and you're listening to this podcast, you should go get in the room. If you're in Taylor's world and you listen to this podcast, get in the room. It doesn't matter. Like I'm literally telling you, like go get in Taylor's room because you're a genius. You've been doing this. You know how to do this. Learn from them. It's not anything bad. And so like I hate when people say that. Obviously it lights something up in me as well, because I'm like, don't worry about that. Like just chase
Yeah.
your dreams and do what you're destined to do and watch it unfold for you. It's going to unfold very beautifully.
Yeah, I always try to remind myself like 5 by 5 rule. Like if it's not going to matter in 5 years, like please don't spend more than 5 minutes obsessing over this, worrying over this. Like if it doesn't have a 5 year impact, it doesn't get 5 minutes of my time.
Shut up. I love that. That was very aggressive. I'm really sorry, but like I needed to hear that because truly there's shit. Like obviously the turn of events that has just happened in our life, it's really made me realize like what's important and what's not. And like
Yeah.
the small things that I'm stressing over, I'm like, okay, is this really that big of a deal? And like when it's not, I'm like, why am I putting myself in a frenzy over this when it shouldn't matter? And so I'm going to go by, I'm writing that down. The 5 by 5 rule, everyone, say it again.
If it isn't going to matter in 5 years, like don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it, worrying about it, obsessing over it.
I love that. Okay, let's pivot into digital courses. And I heard your podcast that launched with Caroline. I thought like the stats that you said were freaking baller. And like people are saying like, I mean, in our world, it does seem like I heard you say it. I'm like, well, courses and digital products are kind of oversaturated. And you were like, no, honey, let me tell you the facts. So I want you to spit some game at us really quick on like the digital course and like why people should do that. Who is it for? How do they start? Why should they do this? Like, give us all of the lowdown.
Okay. I truly think every subject matter expert and solopreneur has a digital offer in them.
Yeah.
You have a skill or talent that can be monetized in a passive way, in a recurring way that brings you in consistent income every single month and doesn't require a lot of your one-to-one time. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. So there's courses where you teach your method step by step. It's pretty hands-off for people most of the time. It's self-paced. They complete that on their own. There's live courses or live coaching where you're going to do something in like 6 or 8 weeks and you're going to take people through a journey, usually with live coaching calls every week. There's a membership. So memberships are a little bit different if you have something that people need ongoing support for. So let's say you're a weight loss coach. People need ongoing accountability. That's better for a membership than a course. So there's all these different ways you can package it. The outcome for people is usually always the same. It's just how it's packaged is slightly different. But the reason like why you should do this now and not shove it on the back burner and think everyone's already done courses, nobody's buying them anymore, they're tired and dead. Here's the thing. We only see that because we're just like, if you're B2B, you're constantly getting shown that in social media. And all of the ads in B2B are all being shown like, here's how you can launch a course. Here's how to launch courses. This is what you should do in your business. So you feel like it's oversaturated and it is not. So let me throw a couple stats at you. So in 2020, we had the like beginning of the digital product boom. Over 2 billion people purchased a digital product. It's like 25% of the freaking world. In 2022, that had increased by 70%. So almost everyone in the world is buying digital products at this point. And we're going to hit 95 billion with B2C and B2B consumer-based courses and memberships by 2030, according to Forbes. We are only at the very beginning of this trend in consumer behavior. So I want you guys to tune out all the noise that you've heard on Instagram and think about what we're talking about is consumers, like normal people. And by the way, 87% of buying decisions in America are made by women. So if your target audience is women, we are talking about your people. They are turning to creators and subject matter experts to solve problems for them. And they are doing this at a rate that is absolutely astounding. So there's another survey that came out from Forbes this year, I think it was June 2024, that said 9 out of 10 social media users have learned something from a creator they follow on social media. 9 out of 10. That's significant.
Yeah.
And what that means is if you have a social media account and you are not creating any kind of digital product that helps your people, you are leaving money on the table.
Ooh, I didn't even tell her to say that.
No, that wasn't planned.
Y'all, that is sick. And like in general, like social media is literally your number one thing that's going to persuade someone to buy from you, whether it's a digital course, whether you're a brick and mortar, it doesn't literally matter. And like the numbers that she just said, if you don't literally, I hate this reference, but whatever, take the bull by the horns and just freaking run, like you are missing out on so much. By 2030, it's going to be, what'd you say, a $95 billion market?
Yes.
That's insane, y'all. That is absolutely insane. And there's so many people that are just such experts that like they're like keeping it to themselves, but why? Or they're nervous about social media. Okay, we're going to dive into this too next. What is your advice on people that let the opinions of others stop them? So like, for example, obviously there were a bunch of digital courses going around. What was it, last year or the beginning of this year? I don't know. This year's kind of long and fast at the same time. You know the ones that's like, it was like you can buy it from me and then it was almost like an MLM.
The master resale rights
yes,
girls.
those.
Okay.
So
I have
like,
opinions.
Okay, cool. How can you like kind of not attack, but like address that versus like what you're actually talking about? Can you dive into that for us?
Yeah. So I think it was like the beginning of this year, but I really can't remember. Time is like, I don't understand time.
I know.
When this happened, but there were these courses. The first one that came out, I don't know, it was like Learn to Earn or something like that. Like they're all called the alphabet courses because they all rhyme or they're all like letters. Learn to Earn, I don't know, Income to Impact, something like that. And the person who built the first one, it was like a $500 course. And they were like, it's a digital marketing course. It'll create everything you'll learn everything you ever need to know about digital marketing. And you don't even have to make your own digital products. You can just resell this one and you get 100% of the sale. So it's not an MLM, it's not an affiliate model. You just get to resell 100% of this product and we'll teach you how to do it. Oh my God, can you spot a scam from a mile away? Here's the thing.
Well, the thing is,
Everyone,
so many people fell for that shit.
they fell for it. Every shampoo girl out there flipped to selling this master resale rights course.
From MLM to scam, it's not a big. I mean, like, and I don't hate MLM. So if you listen to this,
Yeah,
I'm not hating on you. But like,
I'm not either.
this is like the first. Like, this is okay. Keep going. It just.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting so off track here from like what is different from a course, but I'm just on fire about this. And I have to say, here's the thing about MLMs. You can actually make decent money in network marketing. It could be really good for you and your family. I'm not against that. However, those, along with these master resale rights, they target low income women who want to start creating a business for themselves. They know the person that they need at the bottom of that pyramid is a low income woman. That's my huge problem with this. If you look at network marketing, they don't target anyone else but women in the $25,000 to $50,000 a year household income range.
Oh, that's good.
So if you know that and you're like, wait, why is that the case? Why? Because it's predatory. It's a huge problem for me. I don't think that's an ethical choice. I don't think that that's a good way for women to get into entrepreneurship or building a business. So moving on from that, as my spicy, scandalous take here, that's not the kind of course that is going to be sustainable. And we know that because here we are 12 months later from when those master resale rights courses came out. Nobody's talking about them anymore.
Nobody. It's like that's why we can't decide if it was this year or last year, but I'm pretty positive it was this year. I think. Who knows?
Nobody's talking about them anymore. Some people made a quick few $1,000s and they're all gone.
Yeah.
And the reason is because one, there might have been some decent content in there about digital marketing, but like there was no long form content. There was no long-term strategy. There was no nurturing of an audience or community. There was literally zero community involved. There was zero outcome or a way that you were going to help people long-term. There's no emphasis on collecting testimonials, on building ascension offers where people could continue to stay and grow. It's just a huge scam. What I'm talking about when I say like every creator, every entrepreneur should have a digital offer, whether that's a course or community in the future, is something where you are putting your unique skills or frameworks into a product that someone else can use or follow. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you teach something. That's the most obvious one, right? So like if you're an attorney, you could have a course for like the 7 things all small business owners need to do to minimize their risk. But it can also be a membership option where you simply set up access to you on a recurring subscription model. So you can say like fractional attorney, or like attorney on call. So someone for $300 a month gets to join and they get 1 hour of access to you and chat access with you and your team as needed. That can also be a very profitable way to have a digital offer. So it's not always like these long courses. I will say courses are trending shorter and shorter. Consumer behavior, consumer attention span is getting shorter, but there's just so many different ways that you can do it. And when you create that digital offer, when it's based on your skills and your expertise, you're going to build something that actually creates impact in people's lives and creates sustainable income for you in the long term.
Yes. I think, and it's just, I think it's something because you hear like passive income too. And like it's attractive to a lot of people. And like it's just something that if this is something that you think you could turn from your business, like your service or product industry, whatever it is, that you can teach people on something you've done that you are an expert in, you should look into it. Just so as the numbers and stats that you're saying, my mind is truly blown. And I heard you say them on Caroline's podcast. If you're listening to this, Caroline Pennington, with LinkedIn and stuff, but she was on her podcast and she said these numbers and I was like, holy crap. Like that's some good statistics for you to like listen to and like dive in and just actually do the damn thing. How important is the social media component when you are talking about your digital products
Oh my
and the use
gosh.
of them?
Okay, they go hand in hand. Like I feel like this should have been the theme of this podcast was like,
Yeah.
Shelby's going to teach you everything you need to know about social media because you have to have social to sell your course. And I'm going to teach you how to make money from your social media because you need that for your social. That should have been the theme of the podcast.
Everybody's listening to this podcast and like, how many topics
What
did
the
we cover?
hell?
We've covered a lot in 30 minutes. And I just actually love it because when you are in a room with someone that thinks on the level that you think, like your brains just are like, but we've stayed, like, we know. And so like, if you're listening to this, just like put it in like, what is it? I always listen to my podcast. Fun fact, totally going the left. I mean, right really quick on us in like 1.5 or like 2.0 speed. Cause I'm like, okay, I need this to whatever. But like, if you need to slow down on the ways that our brains are working right now, please slow it down. But anyway, go. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Social is absolutely necessary, and it is how you're going to make sales from your offer. Should you have an email list? Absolutely. You're going to launch your email list. In fact, from like a data and metrics point of view, your sales come from your email list.
Yes.
But you nurture people from your social. They decide, they are 90% bought in from your social media content. The 10% from the email is what made the sale. But you can't have one without the other. You need both of those. Social is also the fastest way to build an audience to sell your course to or to sell your membership to. Those
Yes.
things go hand in hand. Like you can't be successful in one necessarily without the other.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Oh, damn, this was good. Okay, what is about, we're going to pivot again. Sorry, guys.
Here we go.
What is your take on the power of getting in a room, whether that is a mastermind, whether that is an event, whether that is like whatever it is? Like, how has getting in rooms changed your life?
It has changed my life completely. I used to literally feel so alone. Like, that's great, Taylor. You launch a business, you're making money, but like you're just sitting around your office all day scrolling and going on these walks and listening to podcasts and talking to literally no one but my clients. And I don't think this part's talked about a lot, but we tend to look for satisfaction and validation from the people who pay us and
Yes.
from our social media followers too. I'll put that in the same category.
Yes.
That's a problem. It leads you to burnout, and it leads you to being frustrated and resentful of yourself and even the people paying you
Yes.
because you're looking to them for validation and for growth, and that's not what they're there for. And this to me is a lesson I learned. Like getting in the room, you're going to make connections, you're going to make more money, you're going to learn new ideas and new ways of doing things, and you're going to feel motivated and feel hype, like all of that. But for me, the most significant part of getting out of the room is I learned to connect with my peers, and I began to look for satisfaction and validation with people who were at my level and not my clients or my followers.
Oh, I freaking love you for that. That was like a mic drop for the end of this podcast, or should we say mastermind moment, or should we say just a bunch of rambling? I'm not
It's
sure.
like we sent like a 45-minute voice note to your podcast listeners.
Yeah. I love us. This is so fun. And y'all, to think that we only met in February and like really started connecting like recently. And I would literally be going put myself in her room in January, but I already have obviously other obligations. But I think it's so freaking cool. If you're listening to this, hit her up. If you are on the level where you want to be in a room for a mastermind, she's a genius. And she told me the structure of it. She told me, just if you want, give your little sales pitch here of like what it is and who's it for and all this stuff.
Yeah, we have a few spaces left. I think this podcast is going to sell it out, and then that's going to be it. We're going to be on 30A, beautiful 30A, Florida for a weekend, January 23rd to 26th, if you're listening to this before that date. And we have a stunning 3-story luxury beach house. It is just steps from the beach. We are getting together. It's 12 to 15 women who are all 6-7-figure founders who are truly there to just be your board of advisors, like for the weekend. So you're going to I love the format that I run. Like there's no speakers, there's no schedule, there's no activities. We're not cramming your weekend full of stuff. You're literally just going to show up and say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with in my business. Here's what I want to do. How do you guys do this in your business? And we just brainstorm and work and pour into each other's businesses for a whole day. And then the second day, we do implementation. So everything you decided on the day before, we implement. And this mastermind format has changed lives. So I've had women who came out of this and built their own retreats, who pivoted their business entirely, who shut down a business and launched a different one because they realized they were avoiding the thing that they were being called to do.
Ooh.
Women who have outperformed in 3 months, who outperformed their entire average in their industry. So like the average that their industry would sell, the number of deals they would close in a year, she did it in 3 months in her first year in that area of her business after this mastermind. So I know that this format works to get you results, but also to give you that satisfaction and validation I was talking about. Like when you get in the room and you start meeting and connecting with people who are on your same level.
It's insane, y'all. When I tell you it's changed my life, it's changing lives of the people that know it matters, and that no matter what it takes to get in the room, like you put yourself in the room. Because if you're dreaming of something so big, you cannot let the people that can't see it affect if you move or you don't, because it won't help you move the needle. And so like getting in the room with people that do believe in you, or that has done it, or that are on the journey of doing not the same thing as you, but like dreaming big and breaking small town mentality and knowing they're meant for more and not scared to take the risk, but they're also terrified to take the risk, but like are willing to get uncomfortable. Like all those things matter. And when you get in a room with those people, like magic freaking happens. So Taylor, thank you so much for being here today. I really freaking appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you. Also, we'll have all this in the show notes, but go ahead, give us a little spill of like how they can connect with you if they want to.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, taylorrenea.co. I also have a podcast. It's called The Power Table. Also on Instagram at thepowertable.co, or you can find it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. And I would love to connect with you. So if you have questions or you would like some free resources around courses and memberships, or you want to get in the room and you're in the Southeastern US, or you want to come to the beach, I would love to connect with you.
Yay! Well, guys, y'all, if you like this episode, like, comment, share, leave us a review. And until next time, y'all, let's freaking get it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Damn Good Marketing Podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you comment, review, share it with a friend. Come back next week. And until next time, let's freaking get it.